Hello, this is David William Weissner, and this is another episode of David Speaks. Today, I want to talk about something I know well in my life, and many other people in the world do too, and that's depression. We all get it down sometimes. Sometimes it's the winter blues, or sometimes people have bad things happen in their life, loss of a child, or a parent, or a mortgage, or just anything. But there's a point in your life where it separates from just regular depression to what is known as clinical depression. I've been through these clinical depressions as a bipolar person at least 5 times in my life, major depressions. And for anybody who's never gone through one, I want to try to explain it to you. It's like something you can't even believe. Every thought is like negative. I went through years, different years, where all I thought about was suicide. I mean, like every thought for months and months and months during the depression. Like every thought was like, I want to slit my wrist. I want to shoot my head off. I want to do anything just to stop this pain, this incredible emotional pain that makes you see everything is negative. Every thought is negative. It's repetitive again and again and again. And the anxiety that comes along with it. After 9/11 and my car accident, I got so depressed, I barely left my house for a year. Okay. And I just went out for things I had to go out to go food shopping. And that's about it. And spent the rest of the time just laying on my couch under the blanket, feeling nothing but anxiety, misery. I had these things called depersonalization, uh, where I would see everything with like a cloud around my face, like a cloud. Everybody who gets this, it's from intense anxiety and depression. Anybody who gets it, it's a little different with each person, but it's almost like you can't see. And depression itself kind of feels like a black bag over your head. And that's all you see is blackness, darkness everywhere. You don't see all the beauty that's out there, all the love and your friends and family, or your wife or your husband or your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever it is. They might try to help you so much, but they just can't get in there to feel the horrors of these depressions. And, you know, antidepressants really helped me a lot in this life, saved my life a few times. And I don't say that in any way being, I don't know, over the top or anything. They saved my life. Okay. Not only would I have killed myself, most likely, I wouldn't have had a life. Back when I was 24, I was going through a cycle of depression and mania that was cycling with the seasons, a seasonal affective disorder for many years, from 19 to 24. Okay. So 5, 6 years. And then I went to a new doctor who decided to put me on antidepressants. He put me on Prozac, which is one of the most common ones we know about now. Um, and I was in with state doctors before that, meaning like Medicaid doctors, you know, and they wouldn't put me on antidepressants because they were afraid it'd push me into a manic episode. They didn't want to take the chance. And I don't know if that was just the way the state law was lined up or it was their own reputation on the line or fear. But this new doctor put me on Prozac, and my whole life changed around. I went back to school. The next 4 years were wonderful. I went to CUNY, City University of New York, the College of Staten Island. I had a wonderful time. I got really good grades. I was on the dean's list. I had girlfriends. I had friends. One of the best times of my life. And even if I wouldn't have killed myself, if I wasn't on that, I wouldn't have had a life. It changed my life from bad to good. And, if you're suffering out there, and so many of us are, especially with men, I think we're afraid to share our feelings or admit we hurt. Men hurt too, just like women. We're just trained by society to ignore it in so many ways. Don't ignore it. Get help, go to a doctor. Okay. Now, I was never really in the hospital for depression. I was in the hospital, psychiatric hospital I'm talking about, for mania. Manic psychosis, mania. Because when I was depressed, I really just kept to myself. Like I said, just laid on the couch or in my bed all day, slept all day and night, ate whatever I could. And I guess I wasn't trouble to the people around me, so they just said, well, Dave is just in his depression. Whatever happens, happens. My family tried to be supportive, but unfortunately, people get sick of hearing it. When you tell people who, even your parents, you tell people all the time, well, um, I hate my life. I just want to die. Nothing makes me laugh. Sometimes they just get mad. They're like, well, go tell your therapist. Go, what do you want me to do about it? It's an unfortunate thing. People can't hear it all the time. It's very hard. Um, so I was in the hospital at other times for the manic side of bipolar disorder, which is dangerous. But depression is dangerous too. But I never tried to kill myself except once when I came home from school when I was 19, and I came home from one term at State University of New York at Buffalo, and I was so depressed then. I didn't know what to do. I thought my whole life was over at 19. At 19, okay, I thought it was over. I had failed. I'd failed at school. I had failed with everything. So I blew the pilot light out in my oven in the kitchen of my parents' house where I lived. Took everything out of the oven, put the gas on full, and tried to crawl in. Stuck my head in there full as I can go. I was pretty skinny back then, and breathed it in and tried to die right there at 19. Didn't work. Didn't work. Maybe if I had a clean garage, I could have put my car in there and just put it on, let the whole place fill up with smoke. I don't even need to give you ideas, but it probably would have worked a lot better. Don't try to kill yourself, people. I know people who have. Being in the hospital, I met people who later committed suicide, and I still think about them, you know? And it it's just a terrible thing, not just for the person who loses their life, but for the family around them. The parents, the sisters, the brothers, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is, it destroys their lives. The people who have killed themselves in my life, they weren't close to me, but I never forget them because I was in the hospital with them. With one girl, I didn't remember. She was wonderful. She was beautiful. She was in her 20s. She was smart. She was in a class of mine at the hospital in the program. I remember we played TikTok. Not tick like it's like a game. You drop like little checkers in there. I don't know. But when I heard she killed herself, right when she got out of the hospital, like the next day she killed herself, it just made me think maybe I could have saved her because I had a crush on her. I really did. She was beautiful, and I didn't know what she was going through. And I guess I never will. But I want to talk about the hospital situation, the psychiatric hospital situation. And here's the problem: I wouldn't put depressed people in with psychotic people. They just don't mix. Depressed people just want to be left alone, and psychotic people have a lot of energy until they medicate them. It's a very bad mix. And I want to talk about why mental illness is looked at so differently than any other kind of illness. Okay? In my 20s, I was hospitalized 3 times for a heart condition called rapid atrial fibrillation. Okay? It was a heart condition. Okay? I haven't had an episode in like over a decade, maybe more. Um, and I was in the hospital, and they treated it, and they were nice to me. They gave me medicine, and they had a social worker, and they signed slips. And why is mental illness treated like a crime? It's more than just stigma. It's the way we see people who are mentally ill as criminals, and we treat them as such. Meaning, when I was in the mental hospitals and the regular hospitals, they didn't take my phone away, and I have visitors whatever during visitor hours all day, and when I was in the mental hospital, not only did they take your phone away, they won't let you have a computer, they won't let you go online. In New York and New Jersey, where I was in the hospitals, they wouldn't let you touch the other patients, meaning no hugging, no holding hands, no kissing, no making love, acting like people. They treated us like criminals. I was in one decent hospital outside of Los Angeles once for like a month, and they actually gave you condoms, and it was a male female hospital like it should have been, and they gave you condoms, and around each bed was like a shower curtain. And I said, well, if you find a mate, somebody who likes you, and you want to fool around, do it at night, and just go home before lunch in the morning, breakfast in the morning. Okay, and that hospital at least was trying to treat people like human beings, at least in that respect. There were plenty of other things wrong with it too, but I don't know. I don't know what hospitals up beside that one in California, which was very progressive, could do that. You know, most mental patients are not dangerous. They're scared and they just want to get better, or they don't understand what's going on. And we put them in like cattle. Like cattle. I've been through it. I'm telling you, it gets violent in there. I mean, the people who work there get violent. They're trained for violence. I mean, they are actually trained to subdue people physically. Okay. And I've had it more than once where I pissed somebody off for the wrong reason. Usually, I never touched anybody physically. I'm usually just having a big mouth. So they tackled me, put their elbow over my head, and jammed it down so I couldn't do anything, and jumped me and bound me to a bed, 4 point. They call it being 4 pointed, and shot me through a Haldol, a big shot, or 3 shots of Haldol to put me out and unconscious all day and night for hours. Okay. And this is horrible. This is treating a person more, not just like a criminal, like an animal. And it happens all over this country and over the world. And I don't like it. And it's wrong. It's morally wrong to treat people who are mentally ill, who have a biological disorder in their brain. No different than having diabetes and having trouble producing insulin or a heart condition. But for some reason, these people, and I am one of these people, are treated like animals by the government of the United States of America and others around the world. And you don't have to be afraid of mental patients. They have to be afraid of you because you're the one doing it to us. I was abused in mental hospitals in many ways by the staff, sexually, physically. Okay. When I was put in Rikers Island, I was put there by the psychiatric judge of Staten Island. Okay. He just didn't like me. Okay. I was there for a year in Rikers Island. I was never charged with anything. I was never convicted with anything. I never stood trial. I was just housed there because, in his eyes, I was a criminal with mental illness. So just think about that. When you walk by a hospital and you hear the screams, or you see a homeless person who you're scared of because they're so confused, they don't know what to do. Mental illness is a physical illness and it should be treated as such. What are the options for people? They say they say they put you there if you're a danger to yourself or others. And that is such bullshit. They put you there because they're scared of you, because you're mentally ill, and that is the stigma. Some people might be uh, a danger to themselves or others, but there are plenty of people out there who have no mental illness. You see them all the time on the news shooting up schools. Why aren't they in mental hospitals? Where'd they come from? People who come out of mental hospitals rarely do anything bad except suffer in their own head. So anyway, all right, that's enough for today. This is David William Weissner. Have a good night.